Yeah, so basically, I think if you're working on like one project, or you should minimize it and stick to like one solid main idea that you're working on.
Oh
Um,
yeah, it's super easy to just get carried away on so many different ideas. Like I mean, I think we even talked about this last week. So there's you can have 1,000 things that are 1% complete, or one thing that's 100% complete. I'm going to take the one thing that's 100% complete every time, right? It's much more, has way more value than 1,000 things that are 1% complete. Just
mhm.
and I find myself, I do that all the time, and start chasing down all these different ideas. I have so many different ideas, but so what I've done now is I've picked a project, which is right now is a utility knife. Kind of working and just I'm just hammering on that thing. I'm going to get this knife done. It's been a project that's been kind of, I come back to it, and then I go on something else, and I come back to it, and I go back on something else, and I just get little bits and pieces done at a time. But now I'm looking to just, let's get this thing done. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then hopefully once this one's done, I have a few other things I want to make with it, like just a little ecosystem of little bits and pieces that kind of go with it. So
I
yeah.
have some input on that too, that I want to throw in there. I like the ecosystem aspect of it, but well, I guess what's your update on that? Last week you mentioned that you were gonna have something.
Yeah, so I created I did a few design sketches, and I was just kind of getting an idea, getting my the picture I have in my mind and putting it on paper. Started with that, and then the next step was to put it into Fusion. So I'm using Fusion 360 as my CAD modeling software. So
Mhm.
put it in Fusion as a really basic. So this thing actually, the real knife actually has moving parts, right? There's I don't know, there's probably going to be about 10 parts total, like
Yeah.
individual pieces, not including screws. And so it slides. It's like a retracting, like a sliding out the front style.
Oh, like
So not like a folding knife, but just, yeah, straight out the front, right?
I'm
Um,
already a fan.
so
Sign me up for
but this, my original model, so what I was doing before, actually, I've been playing with this model a little bit previously, but I tried jumping straight into the actual design of it,
Mhm.
where it gets a little bit complicated in the little bits and pieces. It's not crazy complicated. I mean, I've designed more complex things at work, but um, just defining all the little bits and pieces and getting all of the defined dimensions is a bit challenging. So what I did now, just so that I can get a little win, I need to get a win every week. So my win this past week, was that I got a basic CAD model done. It's static, so it doesn't slide, doesn't move. You couldn't even. It's not. It just resembles what I'm looking for,
Yeah.
and everything is no moving parts, but everything is there. And then once I got that model done, I 3D printed it so I can get a kind of a feel for it, and
Oh,
put
you
it in my
did.
pocket and just see how does it feel. And so it's just black. So you don't have any contrast. It's difficult to give it the contrast that it needs, but
Mhm.
um, I can kind of it's funny because it actually looks like I'm kind of like blanking out the actual object, because it's just black. All you see is black. You
Yeah.
don't see any contours or anything. Okay, there we go.
Okay.
I see I
Yeah.
can tilt it and then so I'm actually showing it in the video, but it's if you want to check the video at some point. Well, we'll try to get some pictures up,
Yeah.
and
No,
I'll
I
give
see.
you some resources on it. But
I see.
um, so and essentially this notch here, it'll slide forward. So
Uh-huh.
I'll slide this forward, and then the blade comes out here, right?
That is nuts.
So
Yeah.
um, so then I'll have to add a few features to it. This one's a very basic model.
Mhm.
I have more. My model has actually been since updated, but I wanted to make sure I get one done, to get it in my hands, feel it, the size of it, kind of act like feels like
Mhm.
it's a real thing, and then it keep moving on. And so basically, what I'm looking to do next. So now that I've got this stuff done, I'm going to refine this model, and I'm going to add all of the features that I want in the really completed project, as far as like a pocket clip and refine the dimensions on this one. Once this one is defined, then I can move on to breaking it down into individual components so that it'll be split into 3 pieces. So there's actually going to be like two halves here with a piece right in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
And so in this next week, I'm going to have these 2 halves designed.
I
and
take
then
the piece in the middle is, well, I mean, that's more of your design. I guess we'll see that, but go.
yeah. So if you take like this one, see
Yeah.
that this is 3 pieces. So it's like a 2 scales. You know, the handles are called scales, and then the center piece is kind of like the body of the structure.
Yeah.
Of course, the other pieces are part of the structure too. But yeah, so that's made some progress finally. Yeah.
Gotcha.
And I can hold it in my hand.
That's cool. What materials are you trying to use for it?
I'm going to use aluminum, and then for the scales, maybe some G10, or which is a fiberglass or a composite, basically, or potentially use some carbon fiber. There's a lot of different options. This one is that's what I really like about this design, this knife, is that I can choose so many different options for the material, the handle materials. It could be wood, it could be aluminum, steel, you know, any kind of composites or plastics. They could be injection molded even for a lower cost version. They could be made out of titanium for a higher cost version, you know, machined titanium. So there's a lot of different ranges. Then there's that centerpiece is steel, which will have to be like black oxide coat or something for rust prevention, or some other coating, or stainless steel, in which case it could be bare metal.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, that I mean, I'm just thinking, because there could be a whole like suite of it where you can have like one of them for like a, you know, like a going out, you know, like a really sleek kind of iPhone feel type of knife. And then you just change those same handles, and then you have like a ruggedized, like outdoor, you know, type of knife. That's kind of what I'm thinking. So I love that. And you have the multiple things like a gun feel, you know, so it gives people that customization.
Right. Yeah.
You know, just looking at the materials again, I almost want to push you into getting a couple prototypes out, you know, like
Right.
I was thinking if we could get, I could like, you know, I have access to the machine shop, and I'm sure we can probably get it at minimal cost if you know, we run it, you know, almost like at cost, and get like a sheet placed out on the machine and have them just take out like, you know, 20, 30 of these stamps. And then we're able to basically, what do you call that? Yeah, just kind of piece it together and start selling them as like a, you know, hand numbered prototype or something.
Yeah, so I'll definitely be doing that. But like you said, like you saw with my little model here, it's just one solid piece. You can't even, it's unusable. And then, but to get all of these, the scale, once I get those done, I'll get the inside pieces done. There's a mechanism that, you know, needs to hold it out and then also retract it and such. So once I get, you know, the mechanism is everything, but the mechanism is pretty straightforward, and I can get that done really quickly. But then the mechanism, once I get to that point, it'll take a bit to refine just the little details, like the overall general method, like how it works, will be pretty quick. But then the real details is where the time consuming part is. And once I get that, definitely I'm going to start kicking out some machined models of it and get some prototypes going.
That'd be fun, you know. I think I mean, I even that in itself, I haven't seen too many knives or any whatsoever really that, you know, have that, like any commercial or like mainstream ones, maybe you know, some custom knives, but I really like that sliding up motion, you know.
Yeah, so there are a few pretty new actually. So in there's some niche kind of, or niche. I always go back and forth. I think everybody does. I came out niche. I typically say niche, but that's funny. Anyway,
it is niche. Yeah. What is it?
I don't know.
It has that accent mark on the end. Is it like, what is it, French or I don't know?
If you say if you're speaking French, then it's I'm in the US, so it's niche. Anyway, there's a few, but those are mostly like little came out in Kickstarter funds. They produced maybe a few hundred of them, but they never actually went full commercial with them. So my plan is to go full commercial and wholesale and stuff. So I'll do direct to consumer as well, but more really the main goal is to go wholesale.
Yeah, and that to me, that's the main reason why getting a couple prototypes made. For that reason, let's say we show up to a Bass Pro or something, and hey, look, I have this product. Here's the model. Versus like, hey, look, we have this. It's ready to go.
Yep.
We can supply blah blah blah. So yeah, no, I would. This sounds really cool. I would like to be in like the sales and side of it or whatever, and maybe you're hitting it in your state and I can do some of the groundwork out here.
Yeah, we'll have to talk about what the structure, what that would look like. Really kind of my goal with this project is that this has been kind of a pet project for me for a long time. This is kind of a business. It kind of been like a kind of pet business, so I'm going to try to do it all. I want to do it all and really learn, because it's a learning process for me too. I've done kind of a little bit similar things, but this one's going full scale, and it's a big learning process, and I want to take advantage of every piece of it. So it'll be fun. So it's different pieces. So the way I'm kind of structuring my businesses too is that I have like kind of a main one on top, which is the design machining. It's like that's like call it the parent company, but then these smaller ones, like these, actually my projects are going to live underneath that parent company as either doing business as likely, or a potentially even a separate entity, but that's owned by that parent company. So there's a lot of different ways to structure businesses. Easiest right now, I have an LLC, so I'm just going to do a DBA under this outdoor company and just start kicking them out. So yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, that's cool though. Yeah, no, I'm pretty excited about that. The knife project, because I was thinking, I guess one of my ideas was that suite of objects, because I noticed like there's been a pattern in some of the things that we've been talking about. A lot of it seems to be, hovering around that outdoor area. So I was thinking, it would almost make more sense to get that backpack that I was mentioning, where it could have like the outdoor hiking camping suite mixed in. I don't know at what point it could always just be like your own project, and I could just be like carrying it through a site or something similar to your just a little sub project that kicking off. But just basically being able to team up on hitting a niche versus kind of dumping off one project into one company and then a whole nother company for another project. It's like having that like outdoor umbrella and then almost like sticking to that common interest, at least at the products that we put out. And like you said, maybe you come out with the solid one and I come out with one solid product, and at that point now there's two products to offer as a as a suite. Because along with that, I have some contacts in China where I don't know if you've seen those cargo boxes, but where people use some, they're used in like law enforcement for like weapons, or they'll have some that'll slide out and have like all these computers and drones, or I mean, even for like hunting or going out, people keep their rough rifles in like the whole base of the bed or something.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, I've seen those. Those are pretty slick. I never actually had one, never owned one, but I've looked at them and looked at building my own out of wood or something, just so I can throw it in the back of my truck. But
yeah, it's very easy to do it because oh no, but did I interrupt you? Or?
No, go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say because with some, because like I worked at a company that did some linear motion stuff. So like the way a lot of these work is you could lower your truck bed, and then it'll be at the very base, like a second base to your truck, and then you slide it out, and you could pull it out basically the entire length of the truck,
which gives you a lot of storage space. It's really, super convenient.
Like some people I would target, for example, it would be so a lot of companies that were making these in the US, but there was one that I have a contact with that's like an entire Chinese manufacturer that could basically private label it for me or us, or the suite, and we can have some basically customized to have like, an entire, it could always be like just a tackle box, but it could be like an entire suite where you open it and it has like a, first aid kit or something like that, like everything that you would need, or even just having the box itself, and then be like, okay, we can provide you with the boxes, we can provide you with the backpack, we can provide you with the knife, we can provide you with this whole series of like highly engineered camping outdoor components.
Yeah.
Because even those suites, I mean, those boxes, we can get creative. Like we can have it slide out and then like lift up in shelves and open up like a like a fishing tackle box if it's like a custom fishing application. And I could just have it manufactured out there and send out.
Yeah.
We'd probably need a couple standard ones so that we can have them out here to save those like 7 weeks on water, whatever it's at now. It's like stuff's like not even true.
Yeah, stuff is definitely
that was kind of my I guess my idea to that would tie that whole thing, and that way it's more targeted towards like that outdoor market.
Right. Yeah, and there's a couple of different ways you can do that, even because honestly, I mean, there are you could be each of these different things. It could even be, even if they were under their own name, with you have, say you have three for each of these three things, you have different like little companies, but then you can sell them. You can create like a store kind of that would carry these in, and then that would be like the contact point to reach out to everybody. They don't have to have the same name stamped on them, but they could still, you're still selling all three to any of your the people, your vendors and such.
That makes sense. I always just go for branding though. Like it's like the more products I have that same brand, the bigger. Like Harbor Freight, they put their name on everything.
Right. Yeah. But and then at the same time, it depends on what exactly you're looking to do, because if you look at Apple, for example, they have like a kind of a suite of different products, but they're all very, very similar, right? So now if you have a different company, now if Apple were to create a pocket knife, because we're talking about them, that would be weird, right? An Apple pocket knife is like, it's weird. So they do have to be pretty closely related so that branding even works. Now it does work. I mean, you look at there are some brands that do cover, like you said, Harbor Freight, but actually their main brand is in-house brand is like Chicago Electric or what is it, and they carry, in that brand covers everything. They cover all kinds of different tools. So but they do have it comes down to tools, but
no, that because when you were saying that, I was also thinking the Osmo. So I got one, but it was at the Apple store. So it's like, it's not an Apple product, but it's very synchronous to the iPhone. So they were carrying it at the Apple store.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, the Osmo. I don't know if you've seen it, that little gimbal looking thing.
No, I haven't.
Oh, it's like basically like a tracker. So it's like it's almost like a selfie stick, but then I put my phone on it, and whatever I'm recording, I can move the stick and it will keep the phone fixed at no matter if I move it or anything, it'll keep the phone always fixed in space.
Yeah, so it's like a gimbal.
Yeah, that's what it,
Yeah. Okay, cool.
That's pretty cool. But yeah, no, that makes sense. Another idea I had this week, and I guess too, I brought up that chair idea last week, right? So I was putting some thought into it, and I, drew some napkin sketches to see how it would work out. And I think if you were to put the a little motor, like a multi-directional, like like a ball where it has like those 4 little motors on each side, and it just kind of, I don't know if you've seen those kind of motors or tracks where it's like a single pivot point.
Yeah.
So putting one of those type of motors right in the center with like a rubber ball that would be able to basically do all of the moving for you. And then you can have the control like in the handlebars, I mean the armrest, like, and all you need is a forward and back. So then like whatever direction you move it, right? So you push it, it would move your chair forward. You push it the opposite way, it would move backwards. But then you don't need a steering mechanism because you just twist your chair and that's the new forward. Like it could be that simple, you know?
Yeah.
And so basically your footing, you know, you can have like a footboard or something, and then just a big trackball in the middle. And then, you know, put the other wheels will basically just be for support and balance, not everything would be on that big trackball and the motor doesn't care, you know, what way it goes. If it's like a nice heavy rubber ball, you know, it won't care too much about like lint or hair on the, I mean, obviously it's going to stick to it, but it'll also give you the grip. You know, find some way to have that self-cleaning.
Yeah.
And then for the tilting thing, I was also thinking if you put basically a pivot, like two hoops basically and like a rod through it, and you know, you have your typical tilt back, but then you can have it where it has a second lock, and that whole pivot just drops the whole front forward. Almost the way I tested it, I put my chair and I flipped it, and I'm like, how would it feel if I just dropped forward, right? So then as you drop forward, that same lever would release a second higher tension spring that would automatically raise you like a, you know, whatever 6 inches to a foot, whatever's comfortable for you to be at a stand-up height without compromising that like center of gravity. And then basically to lower it, you would just pull that lever. So it's kind of have to be like a strong support mechanism. I kind of drew it out, but basically, you know, simplifying everything, you just have a lever that will give you that tilt forward and race you motion in one move. And you can pull it back, but then also whatever position you move, you can just press front or back on your chair and it'll move. And then the battery, you know, you can install it within the frame or under the chair. It's no big deal.
Yeah. And I think this one would be a good one to do some sketches to really get an idea of what's in your mind, you know, because it can be, I can kind of understand, you know, portions of what you're visualizing, but what's in your mind is you know, but we can kind of share that later too.
Yeah, this doesn't help at all. I think it's like a
pretty simple
it's all in my head. But yeah, I was thinking making that would basically all it would need would be adapting a standard chair. Basically disconnecting where the chair connects to the pivot point and adding a hinge so that it has the front tilting ability. I mean, it would almost like even being able to make it as a attachment to your current chair.
Yeah, if you could do that, if you can make it as an additional, like an attachment feature to an existing chair, seems like that makes it more universal, and universal is always good because in many products it's good because then it's you have that much more of a market. But
you're right, because that's actually, yeah, I was
take a quick note on that.
Yeah, because I think the pivoting part could be universal, but the motor part might not be. That would have to be a standalone product.
Right. Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, because from my experience, most of the bolt patterns on the computer chairs are almost always the same.
They're pretty close. Yeah.
Yeah, just putting like a slotted feature that you can just add an attachment and it's going to raise your chair maybe like, I don't know, 4 inches, so that'll give you that compensation for when you're up, so your feet are at a comfortable near standing position. Yeah, that would actually be pretty cool one. I could always just do it to my chair and test it out.
Yeah.
An aluminum little frame.
Yeah. Well, I have an old junker chair. You can have it. I got it for free off the side of the road.
Yeah.
No, it's not terrible, but it's not great. So whatever. I sit in it anyway.
You know, another thing too that I thought of was, you know, at the gym, and you kind of gave me this idea. I just kind of stole it, but I adapted it for me.
Yeah.
If every single machine, right? So let's say the bench press or like, you know, everyone, they had this little like attachment that was like with like a little, you know, those little rubber or plastic strings that they use to hold the little pins on the machines or something. And it was
Mhm.
almost like a magic eraser. I don't know how that would react to the skin, but almost like a magic eraser or something like not wet, or even if it was like a disposable container that you can
Yeah.
just wipe down the machine really quick and stick it back into like an
I,
area that was non-invasive.
yeah, I think that would be great because it's, you know, you go to the gym and most of them, they, or maybe I don't want to say most, but many gyms require, like, you bring your own towels and you wipe your own stuff after you're done. But
Mhm.
if you could have something that's just always attached to it, it's always clean. You know, you can't hang a towel off the machine and just leave that there for that machine. Now that's
Yeah,
gross
it's not
because
economical.
no, it's not economical, and it's still soaking up somebody else's sweat, so you don't even want to touch it anymore. No,
Yeah,
but if you had something that was always like sanitized, it's a clean, like something, whatever it might be, it's sponge style, like you said, magic eraser thing or something that's always kind of sanitized, and then you just wipe your machine down really quick before and then after. And you know you're getting a clean machine every time, everybody else getting a clean machine, and it just sticks. And even it could even have a magnet on it because all these machines are made out of metal, right? So you just
exactly. That's what I was
stick
saying.
it on there, has a little lanyard, like you were saying, one of those little springy
People
lanyards,
don't steal it.
and just, you know, wipe your machine down, and there you go. So I think that would be pretty cool. I haven't spent a lot of time in gyms. I think you've spent a lot more time than me, but it's so you're more familiar with the gym, but I haven't seen that. I haven't seen any kind of like a something that's attached to the machine there, easy to clean. So your market's huge, right?
Yeah,
So
because I was thinking as you were saying this, at my gyms, right? So it's a funny story. COVID shut everything down, and I was
right.
at 24. So I was like, okay, yeah, whatever. That's nice. I literally picked up the phone and I called every gym within like a 20-mile radius of my home. I'm like, hey, are you guys staying open? Hey, are you guys staying open? And I found one that was staying open because
Nice.
private gyms get to choose their own ordinances. And you know, the whole logic was, hey, people need to work out to stay healthy. So we're going to keep this open to give people the ability to work out and increase their immune system. So they were able to stay open.
Oh, cool.
And
Yeah.
basically I went there and I got a year membership right away because I'm like, I'm not going to miss this out. Um, and nothing, it was awesome. It was the exact same thing, but they added little like multiple stations where basically they have more cleaning equipment. So they had these disposable rags that you get it and wipe down, or they had these what do you call that? Yeah, you know, just the typical spray bottle and the towel. So they added more of those so people just wipe down before and after each use. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I was, as you were saying that, I was like, what if each machine had their own little individual, even if it was an individual little spray bottle,
It's all it takes.
within a,
Yeah,
even with the sponge attached to it or something, or you know,
totally.
well, then, you know, I think the problem though, if it has a sponge, it's going to be soaking up stuff and you want something disposable after each use. But
You need somehow to refresh the surface, like a sponge, a typical sponge wouldn't work, but something where you could, like, you know, what would that be? Because if it didn't produce any kind of trash, that would be ideal, right? Or like, so you don't have to take it, tear a piece off, and then take it to the trash can, because now you're moving out of your way rather than heading to your
yeah,
next
you want it
machine.
to just reach and clean and jump on.
Yeah. So, you know, like, you're just gonna, it's just a crazy idea, but like, you know, those, I haven't seen them in a long time, but there's hand dryers, like towels in some bathrooms I've seen, where like public bathrooms, where it's like a big spool, there's a roll of towels on each end, and you pull a fresh chunk of towel out, and
Mhm.
it sucks it back in the other end. So it's basically, it unspools from one end and it coils it up in the other end. And now this is actually like real towel material. You just dry your hands on it. The next person strips
Oh,
another
wow.
chunk of towel out. So it's not paper towel. It's actually a real towel, but it's just a really long paper towel that's spooled up on each end. So as you unspool a fresh towel, it respools the dirty towel. And then once it's all used up, they take it out and they throw it in the wash, and then they put it back in, right? So um, Now I haven't seen those very much, and there's probably a reason for it. People just don't like them because high maintenance. But now in this case, if you just swap those things, it like basically have a little cartridge thing of some sort where you get a fresh chunk of towel, and it could be paper towel, that's fine. But like, so you can just spin something a little bit and get a fresh piece, spray, wipe, and there you go. Right. So you always have a fresh piece of.
I'm thinking, you know, that's actually an amazing idea, because I'm thinking now, imagine this. It's almost like a tape, you know, those tape guns for boxes, those box tapers.
Mhm.
So it's almost something like that mixed in with like a lint roller where it's like disposable. But
Mhm.
then if it also has the opposite end where it's collecting its own trash and you just dump out the used roll.
Right. Yeah. So it'd be like a, a a roll that's kind of on a spring or something, so automatically spools it up as you go.
Because then I'm thinking two options. You can have the roll coated with the cleaning gel, and basically you almost like wipe it across the bench like a few times. And then once you put it back into the charging station, if you want to call it that, or the docking station,
Mhm.
it would activate the next charge. That way the person knows exactly how much to use each time. And then
Mhm.
once you dock it, it reactivates the next charge. Um, you know, another option would be if it was almost like a Swifter material or something, like something that's not going to
Mhm.
rip when you wet it, but it had like a little tank of cleaner in there. So the same thing, you just wipe it down with the little wad or like a wand, almost like a cleaning wand. And then when you re-rack it, it just like twists, or it twists the material into a fresh, like unused material, you know, and it could almost be like a two roller type of thing, you know, like the gun barrel things.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's something to think about. So I think that could be. I haven't seen it. Doesn't mean it doesn't exist. I haven't looked it up, but I haven't seen one. So um, in some form of that, I think could be
Yeah,
pretty good.
because I mean, I would literally, you know, get like a couple prototypes made and just show up
Mhm.
to gyms, just walk in and be like, it's all the start with all the private gyms, get all of these guys hooked, and then move up to the, especially now with all of this, you know, extra cleanliness certifications. Imagine you can
Yeah.
have that for like restaurants where, I mean, I've seen these waiters, they're cleaning tables with dirty towels.
Oh, and they just do a quick like
Yeah,
wipe and then they're gone. You know, it's
like,
yeah,
I'm like,
definitely.
they just smeared that like spaghetti sauce. I'm like touching it and it's all sticky and stuff.
Yeah, when the tables are still sticky, it's kind of fun.
Yeah, I give these people a little like a ironing, almost like an iron, and they
Mhm.
come in and, you know, UV is not going to be fast enough. But if it has
Yeah.
like a rechargeable pad and you just come in and wipe it down and just dock it, you know, you can have stations throughout the restaurant and then make it look nice, almost like a chandelier or something. And you just dock it back into the wall and it
Yeah.
cleans it. And then they just pick it up and clean up their table after each person.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go. You just expanded your market. You got it from gyms and restaurants. So
Yeah, I
yeah, it
actually I
expands it a
really
lot.
like
So,
that thing.
mhm. Yeah. Yeah. I don't. Yeah. I don't think
I've never
anything
seen
like
anything like
you. I would say that something similar in a different application in a different market probably exists that you could take as a prototype, go buy one,
that. Yeah.
modify it a little bit, and then use it. Go sell that thing, right? So it's already it already probably exists. Like pretty much, not pretty much anything, but many things that we come up with, many ideas that we think
Yeah.
of, they do exist in a different form in a different market where you could just take it, tweak it a little bit, and apply it to a different market, and there you go. Like you
Mhm.
solve the problem with 90% of the work was already done. So that's what I always look for in any kind of a new idea. Where else would you find something like that?
Mhm.
And now don't look for anything that's like sanitizing anything, because no, that doesn't exist. But
Yeah, but some kind
now
of,
something in a, I don't know, maybe it's for applying, maybe it's a paint applicator, right? So it's like essentially it has like a cartridge that's full of paint, and you wipe it on your wall and it automatically refreshes and like pulls the roll back through the fresh paint, and then you get new paint and you're painting your wall with that thing. So
mhm.
and again, now either I just either one, I just came up with another application for a very similar product, or I found something that does exist and you can change. So you need to look for this. And then, if you create that thing, maybe you can just take the same thing, fill it with paint, and now you have a paint applicator.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Yeah, it's fun to think about that kind of stuff. So yeah, and then another one last idea, something that I was thinking about, because the house I'm in right now it actually has the outside spigot has hot and cold. So I'm like, that's awesome, right? So I love having hot water outside, so I can hose off when I'm done mountain biking. Hot water it peels dirt off so much better, right? It just cleans dirt off much better.
Yeah.
Now, many places don't have that. Like, I would say the majority of places don't have hot and cold outside.
Yeah.
So if you just have cold, have an inline heater, you just screw it right in line with your hose and plug it in, and it heats your water as you go, so you can wash your car or wash your bike or whatever you want to do outside. Maybe you're super muddy and you need to hose off outside before you go inside, which I've had before too. Like, I mean, I was raised on a little farm, and sometimes we'd be playing in mud pits all day. Yeah. Come back inside. My mom's like, no, you're not coming back inside. It's way too muddy. And we go outside. We have to get hosed off with this freezing cold water. And that wasn't very fun. But no, if you have just an inline water heater, warms up the water, you adjust the temperature on it, and it would have to have a pretty powerful element to heat the water that fast as it's moving, because you would have to have a flow rate limitation, just based on getting how warm you want it to be. Yeah. But it's doable, right? And again, this is another one of those things I came up with the idea, haven't researched it because, well, I'm focused on the knife. So it's something I want to think about. Yeah.
Well, to that one, I've had experience with these. They have them already for showers, almost like for camping and stuff like that, where they'll put like a little device right in the shower head. And, one issue is that it's connected to the power. So you need to plug it into some current. And basically the water's coming in, it's going through the heating element and coming out hot. And, you control the heat. I'm pretty sure it's like a coil that it's going through, some kind of coil.
Yeah.
So I can definitely see it as like a shower head. I mean, like almost like the head of the hose. You would just have to find a way to power it. I don't know what the best way for that would be. If a battery can hold enough power for a full use, or
not likely
plug it in.
Yeah, you'd probably have to plug it in, but
because I mean, anyway, like stuff to shave, I'll use these machines for like 2, 3, 4 weeks, and they'll be, okay for a couple seconds, because you're not, but if you're washing your car, that's, a longer use.
Definitely, yeah, that's a lot of energy that goes into that. So, but yeah, I'm kind of out of time, so we'll just wrap it up here, and if anybody has any questions and wants to reach out, just go onto the website designkitchen.org, and you can submit questions there, reach out to us, see what you think about the website, explore, see what we have on there.
Cool. So everybody, it was great. Thank you for your time, and enjoy the rest of your day, and reach out to us at designkitchen.org, like Steve said.